Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 131. And this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. So let's get started. We go worst pick of the week to best pick of the week. And we have 20 comics this week, so a pretty normal week. So what was worst pick of the week though? And that was Daredevil, issue 3. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are enjoying this series, but I can't get into it. You know, I've never been a huge Daredevil fan until Mark Waid's run, because it was a bit lighter. I felt it balanced Matt Murdock's life a lot with Daredevil's life, and here, I feel like it's so focused on the Hand and the dark and gritty, and for me, it's just not my personal taste. I am still wanting to read it and see where it goes. Like, I want to see it through. I don't know how long it'll be on my pull list, but I will be getting next issue, see where it goes. But I'm not totally feeling Daredevil right now, because the artwork's very dark, and there's things I liked about this issue, I guess. The best part was the ending, where Matt Murdock meets up with 10 Fingers, and 10 Fingers puts his hand on him, and that was a little creepy. But everything else was kind of more of a fight, more about the Hand, and yeah, so I gave it 2 stars overall. Again, I think it's just not my cup of tea, but I will give it, a couple more issues to see where it goes. That's number 20. So moving on to number 19, which I've been a little disappointed with Volume 2 of this series, and that's Tales of Terror Volume 2, Issue 4. I haven't found a one-shot story I've loved with this volume, and I liked Volume 1. There was actually some really cool one-shot stories, but here they've been, I guess maybe I'm getting a little tired of Tales of Terror, because I like anthology series for sometimes, but a lot of times you are also reading serialized stories, and you're like, oh, am I getting payoff with these one-shot stories? So anyways, with this issue, we get to see that there's this girl who hasn't had sleep, and we learn in this universe, if you don't get sleep, you turn into, like, this monster. And our girl is a monster because she hasn't had sleep, and she kills the scientist, and that's kind of what's going on. Artwork was really well done, but the story, wasn't totally feeling it. So Tales of Terror Volume 2, Issue 4, gets 2.5 stars, and that is number 19. Moving on to number 18. And that is Deathstroke, issue 14, which I've been reading digitally because I like Rose as a character, so I want to see where it goes, but it's the same formula with this series, even though it's a different writer now. It's not even Tony S. Daniel anymore, so maybe it's a little bit more editorial, that every single time there has to be a random DC villain or hero that pops up. This time, it's kind of Lex Luthor, and I think in the end, I think it was like Bizarros that showed up in the end, if I remember correctly. For some reason I'm blanking out on it. But yeah, every single time there's someone that has to show up. It can't just be a Deathstroke series. It has to be Deathstroke and random DC hero / villain in the story. Also, I didn't really like Rose's portrayal here. Rose is a very strong character, a very strong-willed character, and all she is the kidnapped girl here, and you see her crying, and I don't know, it felt kind of really out of character for her. So, especially as someone that is a Teen Titans fan and is seeing Rose as a really cool character, it's weird to see her in this damsel in distress way, and this art kind of reminds me of Taken, the DC version, or the Deathstroke version. It's like Deathstroke is Liam Neeson, and Rose is whoever the person who played the daughter is. So that's how I feel about Deathstroke right now. It's not a horrible book. Again, I want to see it through, but it's hasn't been that good either. So Deathstroke issue, I think we're up to 14, gets 2.5 stars. That's number 18. Moving on to number 17, which is a series that might get better after this issue, and that is Black Canary issue 7. It actually ended this whole band thing where I was gonna say Laurel, where Dinah watched too much Arrow, where Dinah, she says she doesn't really want to be part of the band anymore, I guess, and she has one final fight to save Ditto, and that's kind of what's going on. It's more of this rock battle throughout the issue. You get a lot of rock battle, and yeah, it kind of just ends that arc with the battle of the bands, we'll call it. And in the end, we learn a little bit more about the White Canary. It seems like it's a version of her. So I think that could be interesting with whatever's going on with DC Rebirth. Maybe it's the pre-New 52 version of her. That would be totally interesting. So I'm actually really excited to see what they do with the White Canary story. So I really like the cliffhanger, but the reason it's lower is because the rest of the issue I wasn't totally feeling. As much as I've lived with the rock and roll version of Black Canary. I didn't really like the final battle. It's very creative, but it wasn't very visual for me to watch, and I was a little let down that Dinah's just like, yeah, alright, bye guys. You know, we're part of this band, but I'm kind of done now. So I was a little, I don't know, even though I don't love the band story, I was a little disappointed they kind of ended it just there. It kind of felt abrupt. But yeah, overall, Black Canary issue 7 had a good cliffhanger, but the rest of the issue didn't really hold up to me. So I gave this 2.5 stars, but I will definitely, you know, be reading next issue because I'm pretty excited to see where it goes. Alright, I think we're up to number 16. We are up to number 16, and that is, ironically, Grayson issue 16. You know, this was kind of fun. I had a fun time, you know, seeing Dick Grayson come up with his own theme song throughout the issue. But the best part of this series is definitely the artwork. Really like how bright it is. Like the action. I even like the hairstyles a lot. Like I like Dick Grayson's style a lot in the book, so I thought that was kind of cool. The actual mission was okay in the issue, so the espionage part was okay, but I thought it had good action overall. Curious to see where Grayson will go because of Dick Grayson's status change in Robin War, if they're going to catch up with that. But I gave Grayson issue 16 3 stars. Of course, continuing to see where it goes, but not in love that Dick Grayson's still a secret agent. Secret agent man. Alright, secret agent man Dick Grayson. Alright, number 15 is Extraordinary X-Men issue 6. You know, I think this is a bit of an improvement for Extraordinary X-Men, even though it's a different artist, and that's why it's a little lower. I like the art, but some of the girls looked a little weird. They all kind of had like the same face, so at least the same like structure of their face. And also I thought Magick had weird lips at parts. Like her lips look kind of weird. Let me try to show you an example. Like I thought they were like too big, I guess, like the proportion of her lips. I need to try to find a scene with Magick in it. Let's see, like over here. Thought her lips looked a little weird. So the artwork was good overall, though it's a little bit plainer than Ramos's art, which I guess I liked because it takes a little break of the crazy all over the place artwork, which I think works for Amazing Spider-Man, but like I said, hasn't worked for me for Extraordinary X-Men just yet. But yeah, artwork is pretty good, and then the story was kind of blah, and that's what I keep saying about Extraordinary X-Men. It's just very blah. It's not really going anywhere. I mean, he has some interesting character stuff with like Magick and her, you know, her talking to this girl about her being the queen of Limbo and seeing that there's these different portals in Limbo, and then Nightcrawler dealing what he was dealing with, them trying to make Nightcrawler better, but overall the story is just kind of going with the motions. There's no real hook for me. Even the cliffhanger, I think it was Sunspot who's in the end, didn't really get me either. So I gave this 3 stars. It was just kind of blah. Even though the team was together, and what I was really excited about was the team finally being together. But I'm hoping Extraordinary X-Men gets a little bit better for me. I have not been impressed with any of the X-Men books besides All New Wolverine, and that's not really an X-Men book. It's a Wolverine book. So I still consider it an X-Men book, though. Alright, moving on to number 14, which is Batman and Robin Eternal, issue 17. In this book, was okay. I liked it. I feel this arc is going on for a really long time. If this was only like 5 issues, I would definitely put this issue higher. But it's going on, and on and on, and I was like, when is this over? It's like, it just doesn't stop, you know? I'm just like, let's just find out what's going on with Mother. You don't need this many issues. I understand it's a weekly series, but this totally could have been better, once again, if it was condensed a bit more. But with this issue, what I liked was definitely seeing Batman hold a gun and then tricking Mother that he's like, yeah, I killed the parents. I'm like, whoa, why is Batman doing this? And then you find out that he tricked Mother. So that was kind of cool. And then in the end, you had the predictable ending of Cassandra's father telling Harper what Cassandra did, which was probably kill her parents. So artwork was pretty good. Pretty average artwork for the book. I liked it. Didn't feel as rushed as it usually does. So I think that's been pretty consistent. But overall, it just needs to kind of shorten its story soon. I need to find the ending soon with Batman and Robin Eternal. But there are some interesting story pieces here. So, Batman and Robin Eternal issue 17 gets 3 stars. And that was number, I don't even know, I think it was 14. Alright, that was number 14. So moving on to number 13, which is Venus issue 2. And I like this book. I do think issue 1 was a bit better, just because it was more set up. This issue, we have our I guess, astronauts dealing with not having oxygen, and then maybe figuring out that it was actually a bomb that was planted in the ship that made everything explode. So it's now our captain. Well, first of all, people are pointing fingers at her in this issue, but it's our captain trying to figure out how to make everyone survive, but also, like, what did really happen with this ship. So yeah, this issue is a little bit slower, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty good, and I'm definitely interested in seeing where Venus goes. So Venus issue 2 gets 3 stars. Alright, now we're up to number 12, which is All New, All Different Avengers, issue 4. I guess a lot higher than I expected, but with this issue, I thought the character interactions were improvements, so that's why it's a bit higher. Artwork was a little bit of an improvement, still kind of, I don't know why I keep using this word, but blah. I do think it should definitely be more detailed for a flagship Avengers book, but it's just not. Like, even here, I thought Iron Man looked a little weird, so hopefully the artwork improves a little bit for the book, again, especially because this is a flagship book. But the story, there are some really good character interactions, probably with Thor until something happens in this issue. And I liked Nova and Miles. I liked that they were like, what's going on with Vision? Like, like, why is he so cold? A character I'm not impressed with the characterization with is Miss Marvel, because all she keeps doing is just shouting at Sam, like, I don't want to go with him, Sam, get away. It's like, Miss Marvel's so much more than just yelling at Sam, so I'm a little disappointed with the characterization of her. And then, of course, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, which is Thor and Captain America in a relationship, or was this a misleading cover? And it was the later, because it was a misleading cover. It's Thor randomly kissing Captain America, because we have these kind of jerks saying, oh, well, Thor and Captain America aren't the real Thor and Captain America. Why do I have to be saved by them? And Captain America gets a little upset about it, and Thor kisses him because of it, and says, oh, well, they make some excuse of why they had a kiss, and just like, live in the moment, and then she leaves, and she has this whole big monologue about it, and Tony's like, this doesn't make sense, she's immortal, why is she acting like she only has a day to live? So I am curious to see if the team's gonna find out, who she is, and I hope they do. It would be, because no one knows yet. I hope someone finds out. So yeah, that kiss was very random, though. You didn't have to get to point A to get to point B, I'll say. You didn't really need the kiss to get to Tony being, curious about who this new Thor is. So Kiss was weird, and I hate that they were publicizing this and, promoting this for like months and showed the cover and made everyone so misled. I wasn't happy about that, but like I said, I do think that the character interactions improved and the plot improved, so that's why it's a bit higher than maybe if it was a random issue. So All New, All Different Avengers issue 4 gets 3 stars. Pretty sure that was number 12. Let's see. That was number 12. So now we're moving on to number 11, which is Jupiter's Circle, Volume 2, Issue 3. A book that I liked, but still don't really know if we need. So that's the best way to put it, in my opinion. So we see in this issue that this guy wants our main superhero, I forget his name. I think his name is like Ultra. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know his name. But this guy, our main superhero, kind of Superman type hero, he wants him to be the father of his child. So he's like, no, I don't want that. And now that guy's jealous, and now he steals away his powers and the female hero's powers. And that's the end of the issue. So I thought it was interesting, but at the same time, did we need this issue or this whole volume in general? I still don't know if we do. But it was an okay issue. I'm still not totally attached to these characters as much as Jupiter's Legacy, but I think the artwork's pretty good. It's very simple, but it definitely works for this book. So I gave this issue 3 stars. Alright, moving on. I think we're up to number 10, right? We are on number 10, which is Faith, issue 1, which is from Valiant Comics. And I usually do not pick up books from this company because usually their issue 1s are not new reader friendly because they have this, they have this big universe, and I feel like you've had to read it from the beginning to kind of understand everything. But with Faith, I thought it was pretty new reader friendly. My only problem, I guess, I had was, and why it's a bit lower, is because it didn't really have a hook for me. Like, I liked the character for the most part, and, the world she lives in was pretty interesting, but nothing too different, I guess, from, like, other heroes, or, maybe the plot didn't really have a big hook for me. So, yeah, I gave Faith issue 1 3.5 stars. I had a fun time reading it. I do like the character, her being a geek and knowing all these comic tropes. But I do think the plot could have been a little bit stronger, and we'll see if I get issue 2 if it's not a big week. So, yeah, big week. So thanks, and yeah, so Faith issue 1 gets 3.5 stars. Alright, moving on to, alright, we're up to number 8, I think. No, we're up to number 9, which is Red Agent, issue 1. So this book is from Zenescope, and I was really, really excited to read it because I'm a big fan of Red Riding Hood from the book, and also a big werewolf fan in general. So I was like, oh, finally, she's getting her own miniseries again. So I picked it up, and I thought it was a pretty good book. Definitely liked the artwork. I liked the character of Red Riding Hood, like I said, so they did the characterization pretty well. The main plot, though, of her, being the secret agent, I hopefully develops a little bit more. So, yeah, Red Agent was pretty good, but I wanted to like it more than I did. Hopefully the plot will interest me a little bit more as we get along. So, yeah, I gave Red Agent issue 1 3.5 stars, and that is number 9. Alright, moving on to number 8, which is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur issue 3. Alright, so yeah, this issue I thought was definitely an improvement from issue 2. Issue 2 I felt was very lackluster, and nothing really happened in it. It was more of them just running in the street. But with this issue, we get back to, I think, the core of issue 1, which was Lunella, interacting with her parents, interacting with her school, kind of her still thinking she's better than everyone else, which I don't really love that part of her character. But it's also her connecting to Devil Dinosaur and maybe seeing that he's not so dumb and maybe they could be friends. So I'm curious to see how her parents will react to her hanging out with the dinosaur more, and how her school friends will interact with her saving them. And then in the end, I do like the cliffhanger where we get to see totally awesome Hulk interact with Lunella, so I think that's cool. I think this book will definitely be the better when we get to see, and I guess the best when we get to see Lunella actually be friends with Devil Dinosaur, which will hopefully happen sooner than later. I'm still not a big fan of her arrogance, I guess, but she's still a fun character to to read. So Moon Girl vs. Devil and Devil Dinosaur issue 3 gets 3.5 stars. Alright. And we are moving on to number 7, which is Revival, issue 36. So this book, I really love Revival, as you guys know. Maybe you guys know that. Maybe not. So with this issue, it's more of a one-shot issue, and I guess that's why it's a little lower than usual. It's not really focusing on Dana M, but it doesn't really feel like a filler issue also, because they do, I guess, react to Dana M escaping, and, you know, it's about the town reacting to it. So we have one of Dana's friends who works at the police, you know, at the police office, and this older guy who's flirting with her, and they go out on a date, and he kind of dismisses her and says that she's not the perfect version of herself, and she gets angry about that, so she leaves. And that's kind of what most of the issue's about, is their relationship. But also we have that military woman who finds this kind of assassin who's also she's also Amish, so obviously she's living in a world where she doesn't, you know, have television. And one of these girls even says, "Oh, what happened in this cartoon? I don't know, because I watched this cartoon a long time ago. My mom made me watch it, but now I want to know what happened next." So I thought that was kind of cool. But I love this image of this woman you would not expect to be kind of this assassin. I guess that's what they're going to be playing off of, her being an assassin and trying to hunt down Dana M. That's really cool. So I enjoyed that, definitely. So the issue, again, is not as great because you don't have Dana M, and you definitely want to find out what's happening, but there was some really good build-up in the issue, too. And it doesn't feel like a filler, which I was a little, nervous about. But yeah, great issue. Revival, issue 36, gets 3.5 stars. Alright, now we're moving on to number 6, which is Superman, Lois, and Clark, issue 4. So yeah, with this book, I expected it to be a little higher in the beginning of the issue, because I'm like, oh, this is really good, but then the end of the issue kind of falls off. Because in the beginning we have a really cool interaction between Lois and Clark, or at least this version of Lois and Clark, and we see them in Metropolis, like years ago, celebrating their anniversary and seeing how it's different than their Metropolis. And then we have the middle of the story where Lois is dealing with the Intergang and finding out that our publisher has been kidnapped. So that was definitely the better part of this issue. And then the ending with the Hank Henshaw stuff, I wasn't as interested in, so I thought that was a bit of a lull in the issue, but still like the artwork. I do wish the plot would progress a little bit faster than it is, because it is a mini-series, but there's definitely some fun moments in this issue. So I gave Superman, Lois, and Clark issue 4 3.5 stars. Alright, so now we're up to top 5. Number 5 is The Beauty, issue 6. So, I was disappointed that this is like the final issue until May. Like, we have to wait a lot of months, so it's kind of doing this saga thing. And then I find out in the end that, our two main detectives won't be in the series for now, which I was a little curious about. But I will say the reason this is so high is because I love the interactions with characters here. We have our two detectives. The reason I really like this book is their interaction. And we see them talking through a wall to each other, which is one of my favorite scenes from them. And, our main female detective saying, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with looking like this. I just want to be healed. And they talk about their friendship and even, talk about his wife. So I like that it's not just a romantic thing and like they like each other that way. It's just this really tight friendship they have. And then we also do see other romances, though, with, the main science lead here, who was helping them with the beauty cure, and which is cool because that scene is showing, she's, has a loving family, and she actually, spoiler alert, she actually gets shot in this issue and dies. So I was like, whoa, you showed that scene to make us really care for her, and then you kill her off. Then we also have these people still hunting for the beauty cure, and we have our female detective who beats him up pretty much, and then she walks into the sun, which I'm curious of what that actually means for her. So that was kind of a cool ending. And then we have our male detective give the cure to himself. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. Are we going to find out in May's issue? I'm not sure. But really liked this issue because, again, the character interactions were really well done with our main two detectives. And also even the female scientist I thought was really well done. So I don't know where the series is going to go after this, but I did like the issue. I didn't love it because, again, this is leaving us on a cliffhanger that wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be, but still a good issue. So The Beauty issue 6 gets 4 stars. That's number 5. So now we're moving on to number 4, which is, okay, number 4 is Black Magick issue 4. Yes, so Black Magick, I love this book. It's become one of my favorite books, or definitely just one of my favorite books in general. And we're almost ending the arc, and with this issue, we see a little bit more of the relationships between Ro and her partner, her police partner, and also the head of her witch group. And it's also trying to figure out a couple of I guess the cases she's on. She's trying to hide the glamour that she used on the lighter, and also the case of this guy that everyone hates that was thrown into the lake. What's going on with him? And by the end of the issue, when our main witch is trying to help out Ro with the whole match thing, she's attacked by something that looks like her. So that was the ending of the issue. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this book. Again, I really like the characters. I like the world they're building. The artwork is just gorgeous. Love the art. And I'm really curious of where Ro's friendship is going with her partner, because it seems like her partner is getting a little suspicious of what's going on. So I'm curious, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? And also, I do like the idea, though, that maybe his wife is, part of this in some way, because they keep mentioning her, and I feel like they're mentioning her for a reason. So either she's a witch or she's whatever she is. I'm curious how the wife plays into all this. So Black Magick issue 4 gets a solid 4 stars. Really loving this book and can't wait to read more. Alright, so now we're moving on to number 3, which is Spider-Woman issue 3. So I had a blast with this book. I really did. It's Jessica running around, having so much, some fun adventure, trying to find this scientist, who might be able to help them get out of this black hole. And in the end of the issue, we see that Jessica goes into labor. Her water breaks, and she still has to deal with the Skrulls in the end. And she's in labor, so it's just like, of course, it's Jessica's luck. But what I liked about this book were the facial expressions. Love the facial expressions in this book. Even, when she goes into labor, obviously. Great facial expressions here. But even conversations she has with Carol were really cool. Love their friendship in this book, where Carol just keeps saying, I'm sorry. It's like, stop saying sorry. That's not helping. So, yeah, I enjoyed this book for the fun. Great cliffhanger. Obviously, we knew it was coming sometime. But of course, that is Jessica's story of her pregnancy, the end of her pregnancy. So great book. I gave it 4.5 stars. I had a lot of fun with this issue. So that was number 3. I need to take a sip of water because my voice is going. All right, now we're up to number 2, which is Cry Havoc issue 1. And this is a book I was really looking forward to. Like I said earlier with Red Agent, I really do like werewolf stories, and this is a werewolf story, so I was looking forward to it. And I love this book. I mean, just look at this opening, which is beautiful. The artwork, well, really, the coloring is so well done. So the book starts out in the end. So we have that as red. Then we have the beginning in blue. And then we have the middle as this kind of sand type coloring, because she's in war. I'm pretty sure she was in Afghanistan, but so we get to see the sand type colors. Coloring is great, and the artwork's just gorgeous with the way the werewolf looks like, and even there's another scene where she's in war and she has to use her scent right here. Just beautiful, gorgeous artwork. But yeah, this book, what I liked about it was the way it was laid out. I like that it started out with the end, and it is a really cool line of, well, what are you? Are you inside the cage or are you outside? So it's obviously definitely about perspective. And then also the beginning story where we get to see her relationship with her girlfriend, and that her girlfriend's a zookeeper, which is just ironic that she becomes a werewolf after that. And what I liked is this dialogue about hyenas and why she hates hyenas, the girlfriend. So love just this whole 3 pages here. Just great dialogue. And then seeing the middle of, like, how did she end up in war? You know, what made her go to war? And it seems like she just wants to get rid of this werewolf, but then we see the end, is it possible to get rid of this werewolf? So, love the structure of the book. I wonder, and I'm definitely curious if they're going to keep this structure of, like, starting out with the end and then the beginning and how that works out. But I loved it for the first issue. So, Cry Havoc issue 1, definitely read it. 4.5 stars. Love this book. Alright, so moving on to number 1. What was pick of the week? And that was Outcast issue 15. Yes, I think this is the first time Outcast was ever pick of the week. And I will say this book had some lulls in the middle, but now this series is definitely starting to pick up, and there's a lot of great emotion in this issue, where we get to see Megan finally kind of dealing with what happened with her husband, and seeing that, was it me that, you know, did it? Did I do this? She's questioning herself, and then Kyle is explaining to her, this happened before, this happened with my wife. And then, of course, ironically, the wife comes in and says, what the hell are you talking about? And then Kyle finally reveals what's been going on this whole time. And she doesn't believe it. She's like, no, that never happened. And then the big reveal in the issue, or the end of the issue, is that Kyle's daughter might have the same power as Kyle, which I'm very interested in. So my fear with this arc was like, oh no, he's got to push everyone away. And that's probably the best part of this book, is the supporting cast, or at least his family. But I think now that he knows that his daughter might have this power, it's going to be the opposite. He's going to have to try getting close to his daughter and figuring this all out. So I'm very curious to see where that goes. And there's some just really great emotion here. With, again, Megan dealing with what she was dealing with Kyle's wife. Even the discussion between Kyle and the devil was really well done. It's a great book with wonderful artwork, and this is definitely the best issue of Outcast I have read, and hopefully it continues going in this stride. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below there are links for my comic book, Like Father Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father Like Daughter. And of course, next week I will have Comic Uno episode 132. And let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week and worst pick of the week was. And everything in between. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.